Hi, I'm Lonna Kelly, and this is Hudson Valley Art Speak. Thanks for tuning in today. We're going to be talking today to Tara Lombardozzi and Max Weber. And if names are long, I always stumble over them, so I apologize. Tara and Max work at the Book Cove. They actually run the Book Cove, which is an independent bookstore in the village of Pawling. And welcome and thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about the Book Cove. I know it's been in Pawling for quite a long time. When did it get started?
November of 1976. Nancy Tanner is our visionary, and she had a dream, and she brought it to fruition and made it happen.
She did.
Yeah.
It's been there a long time.
Yep.
Yeah. Has it always been in the same location, right in the village?
No, it was actually on the side, Arch Street, for many years, and then she brought it around the front, and she invited the antique dealers to come in and sell with her to offset the cost of running a business. Yeah.
And Max, you've been working there a long time.
It's been 11 years.
Yeah. So when people come in, do they ask for recommendations, or do they just come in and know what they want and grab a book off the shelf, or how does that go?
One or the other. We're happy to help you find a book off the shelf if you're confused about what you want, or sometimes they come in and they know exactly what they want.
Yeah. And what about gift books? I mean, there's always the New York Times bestseller list. Do people go to that to help them choose?
That's probably where they've heard about the book, but sometimes we can offer them different books, because we've read so many of them.
Right.
So we're happy to offer whatever they're looking for. We sort of, pick their brain a bit and find out what they're really looking for and what they really like, and then we can certainly help them.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants to read a bad book. So they often ask us for our advice.
Yeah.
And as we tell them, though, just because we loved a book doesn't necessarily mean you're going to love the book. So we have those staff picks so that you can read a little bit about the book and find out if that's something that piques your interest.
Yeah. So you're always reading.
Always reading.
Constantly.
Yeah. And what do you like to read? Do you read mostly contemporary fiction, or do you check the bestseller list for what you read?
I do. I don't necessarily read everything off the bestseller list, but I definitely read history, classics. I'm a slow burner, so I don't necessarily read what's out there for everybody else. I certainly look for something that's more interesting or more hidden away. It's a gem that I'm always looking for.
Yeah. How about you, Max?
Well, the books on the bestseller list will always sell themselves. They don't need Tara and I to push it. So I like looking for that literary jewel that that won't have the exposure that a big name author like Chernow or Murakami would receive.
Right. So how do you choose which books to carry then, if you're looking for that mix?
We're not a volume-driven company, so we definitely, every book we choose because we're passionate about it. So we'll meet with sales reps, or we'll read magazines, or we'll go through catalogs, or we'll read the newspaper, and we'll see what piques our interest. And if it piques our interest, we put it on the shelf. Yeah.
And what are some industry trends that you're seeing now? What's hot?
Probably political books, I would say, are really hot right now.
Yeah.
The political tell-all.
Yeah.
We've got so many. Rosa.
It's that season.
Bob Woodward. Yeah, we're filled with them.
Yeah. Well, I guess with the midterms coming up and the presidential election in a couple of years, that there's
They're
a
not
lot
happy
to read.
books.
Yeah. Now, what about used and rare books? You brought some books to show us. Tell me what we have here.
This is actually a new thing we're doing. We had an out-of-print dealer who filled our shelves with rare and out-of-print books, but it's something that we've been talking to him about for years and years, and it piqued our interest, and we're interested in doing it now. So we go out there and we search for books that we think that will sell in our store. Yeah.
Well, tell me, I'm really fascinated by the cover of this Lincoln book.
That's a great cover.
Yeah.
I just found it in a recent clean out that we did. For years now, people have been asking us if we could appraise books for them, and
we never really interested in doing that. It's just something that happened overnight, actually, that we were interested in doing it. It's a different venue for us, really. Yeah.
It's certainly educational. We've had to brush up on what makes a rare book rare. and
what people are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly they're looking for a book that they can put on their shelf that's going to last.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how do you judge it? How do you judge a book?
Condition is key.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Condition is key. If there's no foxing, the binding has to be strong, the pages have to be intact.
Mm-hmm. And is something with a cover like this added value, say, as opposed to something that has a very plain cover?
You know, it really is supply and demand, I would have to say. It depends on how many people want that book, and that's the only reason you can put a price on it, really.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know.
And so do you get to go through people's basements or libraries and
we
to
love
check
that.
things out?
We get invitations to libraries and basements and estate sales, and we love poring over their books. We could stay there for hours.
Yeah, mm-hmm. That's what your weekends are, huh? Yeah, yeah. And
we don't dress this nicely when we have to go.
So I'm sure that this is a very different market, though. I'm thinking it's a different market than the market for new books.
I think it's probably a different market. We just want to, when you come into our store, we want to give you one-stop shopping. So whatever you're looking for, we're going to offer for you. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for new books, heck, we have new books. If you're looking for out-of-print rare books, we have that too.
Or you could find them.
Yeah.
What about kids' books? Do you carry kid books?
Yep, we definitely have a lovely kids section in the back, yeah. Not only kids' books, we carry Legos, we carry toys, we carry Play-Doh, everything you can possibly imagine to entertain your child.
Yeah, and I know that you have author visits. Is there any author that you had that stood out for you, that just really hit a chord? Anybody?
Who was the lovely gentleman that came in and put on?
I know who you mean.
Yeah.
We had Mr. Peelmeyer. He was a screenwriter. He wrote Agnes of God.
Oh, really?
And yes,
he was also in that series of Pillars of the Earth. Mm-hmm. So he was
a monk.
He was a monk, and he came and he not only talked about his book, but he actually put on a performance for us.
Oh,
and
really?
It was amazing. We were riveted. It was just, it's so nice to have something like that in Pawling where you get, it's outside of our comfort zone to have somebody to come in here and do something like that and share this with kids, adults, parents. It's just an amazing thing. We're always so shocked, we have so few people coming. Because it's really a terrific thing.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful how we found him. Just one of our customers came in and said, "Oh, I have a friend. He just wrote a book. Would you want to take a look at it?" And we're like, "Oh, sure, bring it in." He goes, "Well, it's published by Simon & Schuster." And I'm like, "Oh, yes."
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
and,
like a recommendation right there, right?
Yes, when they have a huge publishing house like that behind them, it really increases the reliability that this is a showman.
Right.
And it's easy for us to get the books.
Yeah. So what are you reading right now, Max?
I'm just about to finish Ron Chernow's latest tome on Ulysses S. Grant. It's somewhere around page 750.
Really?
I've been reading it, I think, for 4 months. So
yeah.
I'm not a very fast reader. But it's just wonderful to relive the life of Ulysses S. Grant.
Mm-hmm. Usually he gets panned a lot. What's your take on him? I mean, he must have been a great leader, certainly, during the Civil War. But his presidency often doesn't get high marks.
That's very true. His presidency was continually rocked with scandal after scandal. He was a very effective leader on the battleground, but in the White House he wasn't so sure of himself.
Yeah.
He seemed to trust other people's opinions more. And being unfamiliar to the Washington game, he had hired people that had ulterior motives. And so, even though he was an honest man himself, he had a lot of people around him, unfortunately, who were lining their own pockets.
Yeah. How about you, Tara? What are you reading now?
I like to read nonfiction like Max, so I just finished Nathaniel Greene, which was a general under George Washington, which was a fascinating story, and it's amazing we won the war. So I just let that go, and now I read a little fiction, and I was reading Surrender, New York, which was this book about, it's a thriller, and it's a criminal psychologist is going out and trying to solve this crime, and it's about a small town up in upstate New York, and it's got a lot about history about what's going on around us. It talks about Route 22, it talks about the trees that grow along Route 22, and interesting topics like that.
That's so interesting when you can read a book that there's places and things that you know about in it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, touches back.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you have staff picks, and usually several people on staff read the books before you recommend them as a staff pick?
Well, if I read a staff pick and I'm just passionate about it, I come in the next day and I'm raving about it, so it piques people's interest.
Or you get a text message the night before, you have to read this book, so I can have someone to talk to about it.
We do excerpts about how much you want to read this book, and that's how we got so interested in the Revolutionary Wars, because Max was reading Gouverneur Morris, I was reading Nathaniel Greene, we read about there's so many. I can't. Henry Knox. Yeah, it's just such a fascinating. I mean, you look at history today, but you can certainly look back over the years and realize that this is just something that's been happening over and over again. They're talking about these gentlemen in Trump's office who were stealing papers off his desk. Well, back when Washington was president, there was Jefferson right in there stealing papers off his desk and giving it out to newspapers and then printing it. So I mean, it's something that's certainly been going on year after year after year.
Yeah. Well, what's anything new at the Book Cove? I know you try different things. You show artwork. You have, as you said, there are antique dealers in the store.
We try anything to bring people in. We do mother's teas, we do Halloween parties, we do book signings, we do a venue for out-of-print dealers once a year. We'll offer them a spot to sell their books. So we do anything that tries to bring people in.
Yeah.
I think the biggest change is going out there and trying to acquire more books from people who are moving or just downsizing, and that's where luckily they call Tara and I, and we put on old jeans and have to go into basements and attics.
Lights on our forehead.
Like miners.
You don't know what
there.
book what the title of the book is until you wipe the dust off it.
Really?
Oh, people think working with books is a very clean business.
It's so interesting though. We have piles of books at work now that we just we can't do it every day, but every day we get a chance, we pull them out and blow the dust off of it and go, oh, look what I found.
And this is one such book, and if we have time, I wanted to kind of showcase what kind of books are worth something. The Lincoln you admired so much is, like you said, has a wonderful shelf presence with that beautiful cover with Lincoln's face on it. But the condition is unfortunately not what a collector would be looking for.
Right.
It wasn't stored properly, or it was handled by children, someone who didn't take care of it. Doesn't mean that the book does not have value.
Right.
It's just greatly diminished.
Right.
This one in front is a very clean-looking, you'd think a leather-bound copy, but it's imitation leather, and even though the condition is impeccable, it's not worth a lot because it's unfortunately a reproduction.
Yeah.
But you might not know that just by looking at it.
Right.
And
so, I'm sorry, but you know what? Our 15 minutes is up.
Wow.
No, really?
Yeah,
That's
really.
amazing.
So thank you so much, Max.
Thank you, Lonna.
And Tara. And next time here in Pawling, stop at the Book Cove to see Max and Tara. Thanks.